What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. We're live. Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in to our first ever live stream on the Liquid Loans channel. I'm joined by a special guest today who I'm going to be chatting with, talking about some questions, training some things out that have been popping up in the community. So, with no further ado, we bring up the myth, the legend, Jesse the Pit Boss. How's it going, buddy?
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Great. Thank you. How are you?
Good, man. Happy to see you. Happy New Year and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, listen, it's good to be on the Liquid Loans channel here doing round two, because last time we were on my channel, and the last time we spoke, I learned a lot from you, as did the audience. And I'm sure today you're going to be dropping some more truth bombs on us. So let's get straight into it, because a few questions have been popping up in the community, mainly starting with liquidity. And one of them was, will there be enough liquidity of USDL for the amount of usage that the protocol expects?
Yes, absolutely. So with most tokens in crypto land, you start with a very small liquidity pool, and you hope that grows over time. And there's often not enough liquidity for everyone to get out if they wanted to, right? So, unless it's the native coin of a blockchain where there's liquidity pools all over the place, right? Every token struggles with this. USDL is no exception to that. You have liquidity pools that have to be formed. USDL paired to Pulse. We'll have an incentivized pool for that to build that up. USDL paired to Hex. We'll have an incentivized liquidity pool for that. However, it goes much deeper than that. Every single USDL that's ever minted by a borrower is fully redeemable. It's because it's backed by Pulse when it's first created. It's also redeemable back for $1 worth of Pulse at any time. So what that means is all of the USDL that's ever out there has the full liquidity, the full backing for you to be able to exchange it back for Pulse at any time. I can explain how that mechanism works. It's also the same mechanism that helps them peg the price so quickly back to $1 via arbitrage. You'll see that USDC will lose its peg when Ethereum drops in value 20 or 30%. And it'll usually lose its peg. It'll drop to like 92 cents, sometimes even as low as 75 cents. And it'll stay there for many, many hours. Yep. But with USDL, you have this thing called direct redemption, which actually makes it so that when the markets fall drastically, very fast, and USDL comes down with it because of Hart's law, it's almost instant. The community brings the peg back to $1. And the way that works, and it's the same reason that there's infinite liquidity for every USDL that's in existence. If you have Pulse, if you have USDL, you can go straight into the dApp and you can click this little button called redeem. You type how many USDL that you have. It will then look at the lowest collateralized vault. It will take your USDL, burn it, take out of the lowest collateralized vault the equivalent dollar value of Pulse, and then eliminate that same dollar value worth of debt from the lowest collateralized vault. In some instances, closing the debt and saving the lowest collateralized vault from a liquidation event. Right? So if there's a huge market tank in the price of Pulse, you'll have some vaults that are near the liquidation point, 110 whatever percent. But then the moment somebody redeems their Pulse against that vault, that guy was just saved from liquidation. He kept his 10% overhead that he would have otherwise left or lost had his account been liquidated. Similarly, if USDL starts to lose its peg, Pulse comes down in price. So USDL comes down in price in the liquidity pools. People are able to go purchase Pulse out of those liquidity pools and then redeem them at face value, $1 worth of Pulse for each one of them, directly inside the protocol, which because people are buying it out of the liquidity pools, it basically buys the price back up, it fixes those ratios, pegs it back to $1, and it also saves the lowest level collateralized vaults from liquidation.
Yeah. I just think it's super interesting with the protocol, like you said before, where if you were talking about Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, if everyone tries to get out, how much can you really get out? What, 5% maybe, right? If there's a bank run.
Yeah.
But with liquid loans, every single USDL is collateralized. So it's backed by the Pulse.
100%.
Yeah.
100% could get out. I mean, you're not going to see 100% of people scrambling to get out.
Sure.
That would be silly, but if they wanted to, yes, absolutely.
Well, that leads into my next question then, because getting out obviously is a big part for us. Crypto is great, but we need dollars in the real world. What are the ways to exit back to fiat? Because this has come up a lot on other streams.
Yeah. So, similar to how you would get out of most ERC20s, right? So you just swap it for something that you can get to your fiat exchange. So, and that's one way. Or you can direct redeem for something that you can get out to your fiat exchange. So you take your USDL, you go straight to a liquidity pool, and you swap your USDL for equivalent dollar value worth of Pulse, for example. And then you can send that Pulse maybe through a bridge to Ethereum chain or Binance chain or wherever the bridge allows you to go to, and then swap that for something that your exchange carries. That's what we're all going to have to do on the Pulse chain until Pulse coin itself has a direct fiat off-ramp where you can send Pulse directly to an exchange. We're all going to have to do that. We're going to have to do that with our PHEX. We're going to have to do that with Shiba, with every other ERC20 out there that exists. You have to swap into something you can bridge, and then you can swap it for something your exchange carries. We are working on fiat direct off-ramps for USDL, right? These things don't happen overnight. I would hope within 6 months or so we have a deal. And at that point, people would be able to send their USDL direct from PulseChain, direct to their fiat off-ramp, and swap it for fiat.
Amazing. So I think you answered this question already, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm sure people want to hear this again and again. How is one USDL worth $1 if it's not backed by $1?
Because it's backed by more than $1. So, for example, in the liquidity protocol that this is a fork of, you'll see that there's like $2.5 billion worth of Ethereum that's collateralized, and then you have $900 million worth of USDL that's been minted and is in circulation. This is no different, right? You have to collateralize Pulse at more than the dollar value of what you're minting. So the USDL is backed by Pulse and more of it, more dollar value than what you're minting.
Sure.
This is how DAI works as well. Maker protocol. You collateralize Ethereum. You can collateralize some other stuff. There's always more collateralized than there is minted. So therefore, the thing you're minting is worth $1, right? It's always exchangeable, redeemable for $1 worth of what's collateralized. And in that fashion, you just made something that's worth $1.
Yeah, I think people don't understand this with DeFi, especially protocols like liquid loans. It's completely different to CeFi. For example, in the 2008 mortgage crash, there wasn't enough right there. Everything is in debt and there's not enough to pay it. Where in DeFi, in protocols like liquid loans, everything is over collateralized. So if somebody doesn't want to pay their loan back and runs off, that's fine because it's over collateralized. And if it gets down to a certain point, they'll be liquidated and obviously their collateral will be taken. So it's the complete opposite of CeFi, and it's so much safer. It's not a trust or a promise. The collateral's there. Right. The code doesn't lie, right? The blockchain doesn't lie.
Exactly.
What about
I want to speak on something. A lot of crypto revolves around this process that I'll explain: a lockup and a mint, and then later on some sort of burn and a release. Okay, so what operates that way? Well, actually, USDC operates that way, right? You bring in fiat to an issuer like Coinbase, they lock up fiat, then they do whatever they want with it. Sometimes they fractionalize, reserve it, right? But you lock up fiat, and they will several times throughout the day mint USDC based on that fiat. And then when you bring USDC back, they'll end up having a burn of that USDC and a release back to people's bank accounts, continuously as people are selling for fiat, a release of fiat back to their bank. This is how other stable coins work that are fiat backed. TUSD, True USD, same thing. You send in, it pulls it locks up fiat, it mints, an ERC20 for you. On the way back, it burns the ERC20, it releases fiat to your bank account. This is how DAI works. With the decentralized, you lock up Ethereum, it mints, DAI. You bring back DAI, it burns the DAI, releases the Ethereum. This is how liquid loans works. Same thing. Lock up, mint, burn, release. Okay, but it's also how bridges work. When you're going from one chain to another, and let's say you have some link token. Well, same thing. There's a lockup of the original link and a mint of a new, almost like a replica link of that. And now they're worth the same thing because they're redeemable for each other. Right? So that link that you're now running around with on Binance Smart Chain, for example, is always directly redeemable for a link that's in the bridge that's been locked up. But when you go back the other direction in the bridge, it'll burn that and it'll release the original one back onto the Ethereum chain. Like everything works this way. And when people start to realize that like all this stuff is like a bridge, like pools and bridges, and then that's one thing everyone needs to understand. But then once people start understanding how liquidity pools work, it's like this light bulb goes off, and then it's like you just achieved God mode, and you know more than most when it comes to crypto, right? But there's simple concepts. You just have to hear it enough times to understand.
Makes sense. Here's a comment I want to pull up, and it's quite interesting. Mohammed's just said DeFi protocols are more ethical than the current legacy systems. And isn't there a big part of the world that can't use financial products that have interest involved with it?
Yeah, actually. So there's billions of people. Well, first off, let me say DeFi protocols are more ethical because they're all code based, right? You can't change the code. If it's immutable, there's nobody there to take advantage of you. It's literally written in code. What the contract says it's going to do, it has to do. Okay, but there's another side to that. There's billions and billions of people around the world that don't have access or can't ethically use traditional finance products because of interest payments. Right? And maybe for them, interest payments are a big no. Okay. So when exploring, when we were exploring this and we were looking for, what's the ultimate way to make a stable coin? What's the best protocol to use? We compared this against lots of other products. We wanted to make something that was available to everybody around the world. And one of the conclusions we came to was why nobody needs interest. The only reason interest is charged is because the bank needs to, like, if there's an interest payment with a bank, they're charging you because they would have put that money to work, and maybe they would have made money on that money had they not given it to you. So there's lost opportunity costs for them. So they have to charge you. But then they start charging you way in excess of what they would have ever made, and they start to become selfish and greedy, and like it's just not necessary. So with something in DeFi, there's literally no need for an interest payment. We don't need it as a team. It's just not required. You just charge a small fee at the beginning, and you don't need any interest.
Yeah, I mean, that's another massive comparable to CeFi is, if you've ever used, credit card, got a loan, mortgage, interest rates are large, and they're being greedy because centralized finance is, run by people that are trying to exploit other people. In DeFi, a lot of the protocols, especially liquid loans, there's a 0.5% fee normally to get into to open a loan, and then zero interest on your repayments, no repayment terms, and you don't have to pay your loan back as long as you're over collateralized. So it's night and day compared to centralized finance. And I think when people start waking up and really seeing the difference, it's a no-brainer. So yeah, it's good to know about that. The next question, and something that's come up quite a bit, is about the audit. Why no final audit yet? Will the code be made available?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg scenario. We need, well, first off, the liquidity protocol has multiple audits. The code is very clean and it runs flawlessly over an Ethereum chain. And that's obviously what we're running. It's on the testnet. It's the same code. There's some parameters that we had to change so that it works and it functions on the PulseChain. But there's still things that we are waiting for, right? So we can't, like, we have audits in line, but we can't finish our audit until we see certain things exist on the PulseChain. Let me give you an example. Let's say we were going to call our prices from PulseX. Well, first off, PulseX doesn't exist yet. So we can't write that into our code and solidify that as one of our immutable, unchangeable lines of code if PulseX doesn't exist. And even furthermore, if it didn't have an audit, then why would we it's the same situation. Why we can't put that into ours without it proving to be successful, which I'm sure it is, and also having its code looked at to make sure that it's to make sure it's clean and good to go, right? Because we're not going to hinge the success of billions of dollars worth of loan on something else that also hasn't been audited, right? So that's just one example. And we also need certain things to exist, certain things we've had to create, such as graph or subgraphs. We've had to do some of this ourselves, but it's the chicken and the egg scenario. We need something else to exist before we can fully exist.
Gotcha. And also, I mean, you brought this up yourself a few times, but this protocol's been forked on other chains and is running fine. So why wouldn't it run fine on PulseChain?
Absolutely. But we just need PulseChain to exist first.
Sure.
I know everybody is so anxious, they've got like their pitchforks, like hurry up and launch. Well, we need the chain to be here first. So it'll be okay.
Gotcha. Will there be a working demo to test and play around with?
We're trying to put something together, right? So we're on Testnet. We're playing with it, and it's quite neat. We have a video of it that's in our Telegram. People can go see. But we had to talk amongst the team of opening that up to the community so the community can play around with it with some caveats, understanding that it is it may look like a finished product, but again, we're still waiting for some things to exist on the PulseChain, right? Before we can finalize that code. So we're working on that.
Great. What makes the Liquid Loans protocol better than anything else out there then?
Well, show me another DeFi protocol that where you can keep your appreciating asset forever and just draw out, loans out behind your appreciating asset forever, which in very short time, by the way, you've exponentially made more than somebody who's sold out, right? It doesn't even take that long. A cup as the price of Pulse goes up, if you're the one taking loans out behind that appreciating price, you are leaps and bounds dollar value ahead of somebody who sold out, right? So show me another product that is able to do that, let you keep your appreciating asset, that charges no interest, that's immutable, that's run by the community, that produces a stable coin that holds its peg better than any other stable coin. It just doesn't exist. It's the liquidity protocol and now liquid loans.
Gotcha. Well, one of my last questions here, and I can see a lot of people asking this, and I'm not sure we can answer it really, but when's the sacrifice phase? I've seen that pop up a few times. How will it run?
Well, it literally could be at any moment. So, I mean, literally at any moment. Okay, we've heard some rumor mid-January. You've heard rumor mid-February. We can launch at any moment. People just need to start getting ready. All right. How is it going to work though? How will the sacrifice work? Very similar to what we already know. 10,000 points per sacrifice dollar. There'll be a flat period, and after that flat period, it's going to go down by 5% every day thereafter, all the way out to the end. Okay, that much is easy enough. All right. Then you're going to have a longer pays better. All right. So you could choose how long you want to lock some points up for. They'll be in your, they'll be assigned to you right at the beginning, but they'll be locked up for the period you specified. 4% bonus for every month that you lock them up, which equates to a 2x multiplier if you locked up for 2 years. They will not be staked while they're locked up. Right. You can't do both at the same time, but you're trading off one guaranteed multiplier for an unknown. You're trading off a known for an unknown, and you can ladder. You can do multiple choices. Okay. Then there's another bonus. It's the bigger pays better bonus, which goes out from a 1x all the way out to 2.5x based on the size of your wallet compared to everyone else's. Everyone falls in line, just like you're seeing now with a different sacrifice. And then finally, there's a virality bonus where you can onboard your friends and family using your referral code, and you can both share a piece of a bonus.
Okay, so that's the referral code, right?
And we don't have that available yet, but soon we'll have all the details for that program. Everyone just needs to stay tuned on that.
Good. Well, good to hear that. Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are asking when SAC, and yeah, it could be from what we know, and we don't know everything. It could be any day now. So, you've heard it here first. Stay ready, stay on your toes. But obviously, when we know, you guys will know. But yeah, that's where
I like to say. I like to say nobody's going to call you. Nobody's going to call you and knock on your door. Opportunity normally comes around once, and if you miss it, it's so sad. You're going to look back and you're going to wish that you could have been in that crowd that obtained some loan tokens. And good luck trying to find them when we have a huge community of stakers that doesn't ever want to let them go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, getting in there early, as is shown with most projects, getting early and being able to hold always pays off well. So, yeah, anything else that you want to add to that? I've pretty much asked all the questions I think I've seen popping up on the different streams.
I don't have anything else.
So where can people find out more about you?
So there's, first off, the Telegram is always going to be the latest information. T.me/liquid loans.
Yeah.
We have live help in there. We have community members asking very hard questions. Sometimes it's entertaining in there. There's some people that come in there as doubters. They ask the really, really hard questions, and about 30 minutes later, they have this event called the clickening, where it clicks. It all clicks, and all of a sudden it makes sense. And they become instant believers, right? You never have to sell your Pulse. You just don't have to do it. And when you don't sell an asset that keeps going up in value, the exponential amount of gains that you're able to extract in the form of, a loan, for example, that far, far, far outweigh anything you'd ever be able to get had you been a seller. All right. So people come to that realization. There's charts, there's graphs, there's people strategizing in there. So t.me/liquid loans. And then if you want some technical stuff and you just want to poke around and read and see what we're all about, read the white paper and whatnot, you can go over to liquidloans.io and get some learning in.
Cool, man. So you've heard it here first. Go to Telegram. to get the first drops on the news. And also our website, liquidloans.io, is a wealth. It's a hub of information. So you can go over there, read the documents. Is it docs.liquidloans. There's one of the URLs there, which is really it's really easy to read, and it's like the white paper basically broken down. So I'll drop that in the link below. But good to have you on, Jess. Thanks for coming on here and just answering some of those questions, because I think that helped a lot of people.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Guys, if you like the video, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos and content on the channels. Also, drop a comment in there and a like. Share the video with someone who you think it might benefit. Thanks for watching again, and we will see you on the next one.